So, archigram 6. The technology of production. Again, it's a silkscreen print by yours truly onto a coloured paper. And this one, rather than being stapled, was actually glued to the front, so there weren't these nasty staples appearing. But the glue has long since collapsed.
Is it actually record cover size? Is it just smaller than
I don't know.
It's no, because your record.
Yes, there's 12 inches square. Yeah, yeah. It was probably you could 1966, 65. It's around about the time that LPs appeared. Yeah. So this issue has two fronts and no back. Right? It has one front which is there, and another front which is there. Well, it's not if you.
no, it's the right way up.
It's that one that's upside down.
Depends which way you're facing.
Right. Yeah. Because obviously it has two quite separate issues or subjects that it's discussing. One is the sort of what people are doing currently and what's currently around. Yeah, 1965, autumn 1965 price, 3 shillings. It's gone up 50%. In the UK, 1 franc 50 in France, 35 cents in the USA, and so on. The cover was designed by Jeff Reeve, and that, you know, is buried in the small print. So this youngster Nick Grimshaw appears in here. Newcomer. So this, the deal with this, so the secret about this, to make it economical, these are the top half of that sheet. Well, it's not A3 because the A sizes hadn't appeared. We were still on Imperial or Double Crown or something. Yes, it's one of those, you know, archaic paper sizes. But we've gone on to a larger press, and because we're on a larger press, we're using the maximum size the press will print, and then guillotining off. In some of the issues, one of this page here still had the extra bit attached to it, but yes, because the top of that was that. So when you say cut out there, which means nothing, when it's been cut out, that was at the top of this page, so you cut out from that, but then folding it and putting it in ought to be a pain, I guess, and so it got cut out anyway. So. But here you can see you're talking about where it was. Archigram is on sale at Tirantes, which is fair enough, in Better Books, Zuema's Mandarin Bookshop in Swiss Cottage, Notting Hill Gate, Vincent Schriel AC in Paris, Barbara's Bookshop in West Chicago, Norman Rose in Colorado, Colorado Street, Los Angeles, that's a very long street, Almquist and Weeksel in Stockholm, and somebody else in Helsinki. And most students from most schools of architecture. So it had now become something that, not many, but a few booksellers around the world, and some of them, like the Takodo Shoten in Japan, would write in when they wanted copies rather than having a bunch of copies. Then they turned into a sort of having a permanent order for 6 copies or whatever, which would ship out to them. So but you can imagine, 6 copies at 3 shillings a copy is less than £1 anyway. So it's not, values have changed, of course. So here's Cedric having his bit again. Things taken from industry. What are these people called? Is it Bel Air or Sidair envelope? But a commercially produced inflatable building, you know, being reported. But very intense. I mean, the amount of information on any one of these pages is quite incredible. And it's only when you start reading it, you see how much there is in there. I won't start reading. Well, I did start reading it, but I'm not going to read it out. John Outram is still around.
Did he work on the magazines at this stage?
No, he never worked on the magazine. He was nominally the editor of the first issue of Archigram. The reason for that was Peter and David at that time, things have changed since, were very frightened of the RIBA. And they thought if they put their name onto some scurrilous anti-establishment newspaper that they could well be expelled as student members from the RIBA or something or other. So they got John Outram to front it up for them. But he didn't. I mean, he lived in Regent's Park Road, just a few doors from me at the time. You find the addresses on that first issue. But I mean, he still smiles and giggles about it. So I haven't seen him for some years. But, no, I think, I mean, the community in London in the early 60s was very close. You know, the people that you would rub shoulders with would include all sorts of people who at that time never knew who the hell they were. So, you know, like mentioning somebody like Peter Blake, nobody, you know, take any notice. Peter Blake, you'd sort of elbow him out of the way at the bar at the ICA or something, and Richard Hamilton and so on. Was the, you know, it's only later. And Eduardo Palazzi, you know, he was a great friend. So, and then here again, we've got that same sort of thing where there's a drawing which is larger than the format, or would be too small taken down to the format. So you've got a blank spread, and then the drawing that goes. Yeah. So that it's, you can see the whole of this Jos Weber piece.
So did you work out the flat plans before? You must have done before printing.
Oh, before printing, yes. But then it was single sheets. I don't. Well, generally it wasn't necessary to work out the flat plans. The pages, the paste up for the pages, like with Archigram 4, paste up the pages were done as individual pages. Because I was silk screening the centre fold and the outer of the cover, that was printed as a single 4-page section. So that I was only doing one screen print, not 2 or 4 separate screen prints. So that was planned, and then, as I say, it was printed as a 4-page section. And I still have the silk screen that's that size to silk screen that size of paper. So.
But something like that obviously must have been because you like, in order to decide that you could do a long drawing, you would have. Yeah. Yes, I think, I mean, despite what anybody might think, we're all extremely practical in our own particular ways. So like maybe quirky practical, you know, but like sort of like David, you know, who you think of as sort of the poet of the group. You know, when it comes down to it, he's sort of interested in garden sheds and silly things like that, and they're real things. It's not an abstract thing. And I mean, I had absurd conversations with Mike Webb. You know, he's amazing with spray paint. You know, you wouldn't imagine. I don't have the patience. I mean, I use spray paint on models and so on, but I don't have the patience. He will build up a small component from model. He'll build up 20 or 30 layers of spray paint, so to sure it just gives a slight puff, and then he leaves it to dry, so there's no chance of the paint running or anything like that. And it goes incredibly evenly. And he has that sort of practical patience. You know, what he's spray painting is a totally absurd object, but you know, it's that mixture that's interesting. So anyway, and as I always point out, there's a young Peter Murray, 3rd year at Bristol before he came to the AA in London. So there we are. And then, like as it happens, Peter never gave back the original of this drawing to John Outram, so it's in the archives. There's probably more pieces that we've got
but I haven't found them to link them back. But there are pieces, and as we go on, I'll spot them and say, oh, there's something that was in issue of archigram. But it's interesting, like for these projects, you've got drawings from that project that aren't in the magazine, so you can see that how the section worked and so on. So, this again, I was reading it the other night. You know, things it's a list of people that Peter thought you should keep your eye on for the future. And it says at the bottom, address not known by archigram but significant. Metabolist Group, Japan. Frederick Kiesler, USA. Jerry Salton, Poland. And Constant, Holland. You know, I mean, this is, whatever I said, 1965. We'd not yet had any real contact with these people. And there's a whole list. I mean, I don't know, it might be terribly boring. But I find it interesting. You know, it's sort of mentioning Schultz Felix, who I was with in Berlin last summer, as it happens. Frei Otto, Joseph Weber, Dalibor Vasily, but still Dalibor is still in Poland. It hasn't come to London. And I forget the other name. Where were we? Yeah, all sorts of, you know, Arthur Cornby, Blast from the Past, Lionel Shine, Paolo Soleri, Yona Friedman, Claude Parrott, Cedric Price, and archigram. Anyway.
Not a bad list.
Not a bad list. Yeah, watch this space.
Favourite.
Yeah, yeah. But there's so much in these. Anyway, that's one magazine. The other magazine that accompanied that magazine was a thing where Warren did do the layouts for this. Warren, I suppose, partly being the eldest in the group, was born in 1927. So the 40s was something that he was quite familiar with, whereas I was born in 1935. I was 10 in the middle of the 40s, so I wasn't interested in all this stuff. Whereas Warren was 17, so you know, he picked up on it. And again, there's an essay of Warren's that's concealed in little 35mm contact print size on each of the pages of this, that we have published it in the Guide to Archigram. But it's a sort of text. I would imagine that if any of the people who read Archigram 6 at the time, if any of them spotted it and read it, they'd be a very small minority of the number of people. But it's, yes, with very good eyes, yes. But you've got to spot it in the first place, even to know it's there. But it's Warren talking about the illustrations. You know, so that's his style. You see it there in 6 and you see it there in 4, where he writes an essay, but the essay is about visual material. So the weight of the information on the page is visual rather than textual. And Warren was very much like that. I mean, his writing, which we'll only be able to give reference to in the bibliography or something, because it's quite extensive. It might be nice to do 1 or 2 pieces that were directly related to Archigram, but other pieces that were about firms like YRM and so on. You know, he wrote a piece about YRM that upset David Alford slightly, in a friendly sort of way, called Slightly Below the Knee, time when miniskirts were